We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zones you're joining us from. Welcome to Conversations with Karuna. And I have an amazing person with me today who is Manoj Madhusudanan. Right now, he is the head of India for dunnhumby, and he's worked for several other organizations in the past, including Evalueserve, which has been one of my ex-employer as well, and that's where I met him too. So, welcoming Manoj Madhusudanan to the Conversations with Karuna. Welcome, Manoj, to the show.
Thank you, Karuna. Very excited to be part of your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manoj. And I would be talking a bit about leading mindfully globally. That is what has been the topic of discussion for today in the conversations that we're going to be doing. Manoj has been an amazing person, which I've been inspired from personally at some point of time when we were working together. There have always been certain food for thoughts that he would give us, and the empathy that he would show while working with people around him has been an inspiration for me that I carry from the years that I've been working with him. So thank you so much for coming into the session and showcasing um, the interest to talk to so many people who listen to conversations with Karuna. Today we're going to be talking about you, your life, your career, and also how do you lead mindfully. So let's start with a few questions that I have in my mind for you. So tell us a bit about your career growth. Where did you start from, and what have you been doing in your career?
Okay, very kind of you to say nice words. Very quite humbled by that. Thank you. It's been great working with. I think it's almost 9 years now since we worked together in Evalueserve. Right, it's a long time. It's been great working with you as well at that point in time. So let me. I don't know where to start, but let me start with where I came from. I belong to a place in the northern part of Kerala, of a town called Talassery. It's a village called Padiriyad. That's where I spent my childhood. My schooling till 11th, 12th, I was in Talassery. Then after that, I went to IIT Madras, 93 to 97. Worked with Infosys for a year. Then, got my MBA admission at XLRI, a couple of years there. Then from campus placement, I went to Anderson Consulting. Because I joined, I don't know why, they just changed the name within a year. And it became Accenture while I was there. And so I was there for 4 years. And that's when I came across the opportunity. I was in consulting, but came across the opportunity about a new upcoming field. As consultants, we were all doing research ourselves. But then I got to hear about this whole industry around research opening, business research, and a new term called knowledge process outsourcing coming up. And that's when I interviewed with Evalueserve in 2004 and stayed on for 13 years with Evalueserve. 10 years in Gurgaon. In my last role, I was managing the global operations for one of the business units. And then 3 years, I was in the UK, creating a startup within Evalueserve in the digital mode. That gave me the first exposure to product management, AI, what can you do with new disruptive technologies. 3 years there, and then 13 years in Evalueserve. And then I came back to India in 2017. And then I created a startup of my own, along with the co-founder. Ran it for about a couple of years. And of course, we could not sustain it beyond a point. Just like most of the startups, we were also going through a bit of not able to get that traction, and funds were getting depleted. So I was really thinking about what next at that point in time, right? Everything is serendipity. Just accidentally, I got a call from an ex-colleague. In fact, an ex-colleague from Evalueserve who is in dunnhumby. He pinged me on LinkedIn saying that there's a role for India head. Would you be interested? So it just worked out, right? So I interviewed with them. Then I came here. So almost 2 years now, 1 year, 10 months, I've been with dunnhumby. So dunnhumby is basically a customer data science company founded by husband-wife, Edwina Dunn and Clive Humby, 31 years back in the UK. They exited the business. but this company has been growing from strength to strength. It's about globally about 2,500 people. In India, we have about 700 people. When I came here, we were about 500. So expanded by another 200 over the last couple of years. So that's in a nutshell, a broad CV.
Wow, what a life journey and what a career journey, I must say. Starting from a small place in Kerala to being at a place where you've been, working in global locations, and now back to India with some stints that you've had in multiple places. I know when you were in Evalueserve, you were also handling the entire business unit, global locations, and of course, in consulting work, also you've been working, moving around different parts of the world. So, very interesting. So, tell me a bit about when you were in a business, when you were an entrepreneur for some time. And I'm sure you've shifted jobs which are so unique, from being from a small place to coming to a city, living in a large city, moving across to a global location, and then being an entrepreneur, and then coming back to job. I'm sure there have been some key learnings, some key milestones that you've had. And of course, it required different aspects, different, way of thinking, different mindsets that you had to adopt to when you were changing things in life. So much of change that you've seen with yourself. So, what are some key learnings that you can share with us?
Thank you. So, when I reflect on it, it's not that I planned anything that way, right? So, and I think that is the crux of it. Uh, since childhood, I think my parents instilled the value of hard work, persistence, just staying focused on your goals. So, I mean, they were very hardworking. They still are. They are retired, but they still are, quite in their spirits, working hard to, better themselves. So that whole spirit got instilled in me as a child. Probably that was the start, and I realized very soon that life cannot be planned. However hard we plan, I mean, did we plan COVID? We did not, right? So, and what will happen next? Nobody knows. There could be all kinds of theories, but nobody really knows, right? So live in the moment. I think that's what I try to do at any point of, and give you 100% to what you do, right? And when you do something very with a lot of persistence, when it becomes your way of life, automatically that karma plays out on you. You will start getting the results of that. Never be desirous of that result and keep keep doing that, right? Something, but just stay focused on what you're doing at the moment. If there is a task that you need to do, give your 100% to it. Then move on, do the next one. Now, if you have options to choose, then also give you 100% in choosing which option to pursue. So rather than just thinking about tomorrow, if you can live your present and create those microcosms in your life, right? I think over time it just works out very well. That's what I felt, very honestly. And there is this. I think it's the title of a book also. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? So, and I believe in that because every part of your life, it's all connected. It's not like, okay, I decide to do this particular one, now I can have a very different way of doing something else. It's all connected, and the sum total of that defines you as a person. You may be in an Evalueserve, you may be doing a startup, dunnhumby, but the value system, the skills, the aims, the motivations, the personality, all the things that you bring to table is a continuum, and that is the sum total of everything that you do on work and off work. So for me, the key learning is just stay focused on what you do at the moment. And we all have the tendency to say the grass is greener on the other side and keep on looking at something else.
Yeah,
Things will come to you. Have the patience, right? If you stay focused on what you're doing, that karma will play out. That's
sure.
that's what I feel.
I think I absolutely love the point when you're saying that live in the moment and give 100% to what you do, because at the end of the day, the journey is also important, not just the outcome or the destination. The destination would be much more happy or enjoyable if you enjoy the journey as well. So that's something that I personally believe in also. And when you're talking about learnings as well, when you're talking about continuous improvements and learning from all those things that are happening in your life, it's and giving 100% attention to it. I think what also happens is, as an individual, when we shift, we gain some learning, we carry that back in our life in all aspects of our life, whether it is
Yeah.
personal or professional. So though that personality, you can't break it up into different things. You carry that to places that you go to, whether work, personal levels, or whatever you're doing. So I think those values are instilled in us, and as we keep growing, there are certain new things that we learn, and it shapes us up completely. Super. I love what you're talking about, Manoj. I also want to know from you that when you're talking about karma, you're talking about believing in, being in the present. Is there any specific practice that you do to do that?
So one is just very simple. I know you won't probably like the answer. Just live in the present, right? So quite often we our thoughts tend to just go here and there. So bring it back. Right now, I am in conversations with Karuna. So I am
Huh.
not thinking about the meeting I have this evening or what will I eat tonight. I'm not thinking of any of that. Right now, I am thinking because I just mentioned that. But I'm just focused on this. So live in the moment, at the moment, right? Um, uh, so, um, so that's it. Now, how do you cultivate that? I think
Yes.
that's where there are techniques that we can do. One thing I do is meditation, right?
Mm.
I never started this with the aim of, okay, let me live in the moment, therefore let me do meditation, right? I got drawn to it. In fact, as a child, I was religious. We have a family temple. I used to go there very often, pray in the evenings. So I was quite spiritual, religious, whatever you. But it all got some dimension only in the last 20 years, a little more sharpened. I started following Paramahansa Yogananda, the Yogoda Satsang Society, right? So the author of, in fact, I have it on my, right? This is one of my favorite books. Whenever I have a few moments, I just keep opening that, read some random page, and it just gives me some inspiration, right? So Yogananda ji lived from 1893 to 1952. He lived most of his life in the West, but his teachings are based on the ancient Indian wisdom. So there are lessons on meditation, on breathing exercises, pranayama techniques, the controlling your mind, just going deep within. So all of these techniques, if you continue to practice, and again, this is just one path. There are many other paths that people can. If you don't have any path, you can just get a Headspace app and then start doing. So, or just open a YouTube video and just start following that, right? So, there is no dearth of where to start from, right? In fact, there's so many things that you don't know where to start. Just get started. That's what I would say. But spending time with yourself, introspection, reflection, all of that will help. The other practice that I have done for a very long time, I have been doing that, is now I can't do much because I don't drive back from office. Office is home for the last 1 year. But every evening when I drive back from office to home, behind the steering wheel, I spend like 15 minutes, 20 minutes just thinking about the day, right? How did the day go? The meetings, the interactions I have had, just like a movie, it goes in my head, right? And then I watch that, then I kind of somewhere some neural connections are made that I could have done it this way, I could have done it that way. So that then helps in getting a new idea or new
Perspective,
perspective,
dimension of thought.
yeah, imprinted in the head, right? So that helps. So I have done that as a regular practice. Even now I try to do, but routines have got disrupted. So I have to consciously try to remember how was my day and then do that, right? So withholding yourself into your inner self, spending some time with you, that would help. Having that control on yourself, right? So that's the way I do that whole mindfulness exercise. In fact, within dunnhumby, I have been also conducting a few mindfulness exercises whenever we have some of these global events and all that, right? So I've done a few of that, yes. So just trying to do that to whoever I can help.
Wow, Manoj, I think only when we got talking about mindfulness a month or two back is when I realized and knew about your practices for so many years that you've been, following. I was not, even while we were in Evalueserve, I don't think I knew about the fact that you were practicing something like this, from a meditation point of view. Because when I look at you as a leader, when people connect with you, they feel happy and they want to stay connected, or they feel there is a good inspiration that you are able to give to them. And I think that comes from the fact that you feel calm and composed, and you're able to give that, thought in a very different perspective to the situation in front of you. So, absolutely loved what you said, Manoj. And
Thank you.
even though we are in a corporate world, Manoj, why is it that we are not, a lot of us, we know this, that we should do this, but we are not able to practice it, we don't practice it? So what do you think could be a situation? I'm sure you come across friends who say that, okay, I know this, I would like to do it, but they don't absolutely follow it sometimes. So what do you think stops us from moving ahead in this space?
I think, so this is Newton's first law, right? Inertia. Any body that stays in a state of, in a static state continues to be there. Anything that's in a constant motion continues to be in that. It's just that, right? And that applies to everything, not just objects. So you have to break that habit. So anything that you do for, this is a thumb rule, right? Well-known thumb rule. Anything that you do for 21 days stays as a habit. So if 21 days you can wake up in the morning or late at night, whenever, spend that time with yourself. You may feel lazy, you may not want to do that, but you force yourself to do that for 21 days and plus or minus, but 22nd day onwards, you will start seeing that you automatically start sitting down for that meditation at that point in time, or you get up at that time, or you can't sleep without that few moments of meditation. You just feel restless. Oh, I have not meditated. You will start feeling that, right? So it's a question. It's exactly that, the inertia. We need to just break the inertia. There is no other rocket science really there, right? I mean, I have also fallen into it on and off in my life. It's not like I'm a yogi who has achieved everything, right? But I have fallen into that trap many times, right? Just getting into that busyness, losing that momentum. But then one point in time, you just realize, okay, no, this is not going to help. Let me get that habit back again. But then
Yeah.
you have willpower. End of the day, right? Everything is about willpower. Build your willpower. When you build your willpower, and some of these yogic exercises actually help you to build the willpower.
Hmm.
Yoga is not just about better circulation and good breathing and just mind control. It's also about, when you do yoga and you're persistently doing something for a certain period of time, you're building your willpower. And will if you don't will, right? I'm lifting my arm. I have to will that I have to lift my arm. Otherwise, if I don't will it, it will never happen. So the willpower then gets communicated to the hand to lift the hand. So ultimately, it's the will, right? And amplify that, magnify that, and then nothing can stop you. It becomes like razor sharp.
Wow, I have never thought of meditation from a viewpoint of thinking of it from an inertia point of view. I never thought that this is,
That,
some
that, that's,
brilliant.
that, that, that's what happens when an engineer starts meditating.
I absolutely love that. I really love that, because today I carry back that from this conversation, that how scientific is this entire concept. It's and the fact that you're talking about yoga not just being from a physical dimension, but also from a mental, emotional dimension, also spiritual dimension, also, that how powerful it is, how powerfully.
Yeah, I want to add one. I want to
Yes.
add one thing there. Sorry, Karuna. I want to add just one thing since you said that. Ultimately, physics and spirituality merge. It's probably not fully established in 21st century. Maybe another 200, 300 years later, this might just become so much established. Because what does quantum physics say? We are all particles, right? But then you get into the atom. We learned in high school that
Mm.
atom is the size of a football field, then nucleus is the size of a fly in the middle of the football field. That's not, everything else is a wave. So
Mm.
99.99% of our body is just a wave, electron wave. And even the nucleus, when you go down, you see protons, neutrons, then go further, mesons, you finally see only energy. So you are just energy. The lamp behind you is also just an energy. I am also energy. These books are energy. It's all connected. There's no matter really, right? The energy is manifested. And that's what spirituality also says. You're controlling that energy. So it is not very different from physics. I just wanted to amplify that point, right? So it is exactly
Super.
physics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I think people who are more logical will understand this point in a much better way. Those who use more of their logical mind. Some of us are more creative, some of us understand more logic. So, this fact that you're talking about, that actually physics or spirituality are not different fields, is such a valid point, because so true. We are all at the end of the day an energy. And what kind of energy do you want to hold on to? Uh, Depends on us. That's the choice we can make. So I think people are loving our conversation that we are doing here. Pavan is talking that it seems to be an interesting journey. Jitendra also feels, thank you so much, Jitendra, for commenting. Pavan, I think you're referring to the book. It's called as an autobiography of a yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda. Super.
Yes. That.
Okay. So Vikas is here. He's an ex-EVS, so he's saying hi to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, okay, coming back to the questions that we have for you. Another question that comes to my mind is that you're so well aware of the concepts of spirituality, mindfulness. How do you see that it helps you shift your leadership style? How does it help you lead people differently? And it has helped you in your career journey also.
So when I look at the leadership mindsets that have had most impact on me, there are two or three things that stand out. One is I feel that one of my strengths is, I think you mentioned that term earlier in the introduction. At the risk of sounding arrogant, right? I think I am a bit empathetic to people.
I,
So I think that's a quality that over the years I've got this feedback also from people, and I feel that that's a strength of mine, that I'm able to empathetically connect with people. And I think that again, what is empathy? Empathy is the ability to really feel and experience another person's emotions, feelings, all of that, right? And for any leader, that's a very important one to have. And how do you practice empathy? It's very simple, right? Just be genuine. When somebody comes to you with a problem, you just listen to that person. Sometimes we all have as leaders, we think that, oh, our job is to really provide advice, provide guidance. So we sometimes don't listen well. But answer could be with the person themselves, right? I'll give you an example. My first year at, sorry, you're saying something, Karuna.
no, I was just saying absolutely. I absolutely buy to that point.
Yeah. So in my first year at dunnhumby, one of the managers booked an appointment with me, and she said, "I'm really in a, things are not going well. Everything seems to be going wrong." She was almost in tears. Said that I wanted to resign because I'm not losing control on the team, losing control on my work. So she booked a half an hour meeting with me, and we entered the meeting room, and she started speaking, and I was just nodding, rephrasing some of the questions, some of the things she said, asking some more probing questions. But 80-90% of the times she spoke, and I just asked a few questions and just clarified a few things or rephrased a few things. Half an hour meeting, 20 minutes into the meeting, she tells me, "Thank you, Manoj. This has been a very helpful chat. I have now got clarity. I know what I need to do, right? You have provided me the required clarity. I think that's exactly what I wanted." And she was very happy, and we finished the meeting. I was like, what did I do, right? Really, in my head. So, but I realized that's exactly the whole point of empathy. I was not faking it. I was genuinely trying to help her. Therefore, I
Yeah.
was genuinely asking her the questions and
Yes.
have the antenna. So if somebody makes a fake leadership kind of discussion,
Hmm.
the leadership discussion, right? People can see through that. But if you genuinely empathize with the person and talk about their issues, And the other thing is we have a tendency to talk a lot. I, of course,
Hmm.
have a tendency to talk a lot, but I try to withhold talking a lot, especially when I have to have a discussion which has to be very empathetic, right? So we have to listen more, listen to that person more, and we have to really be genuine. So empathy is the other thing that really is important is a leader can never compromise integrity, right? And again, if you, it is linked with spirituality, because ultimately anything that lacks integrity, the karma will come back to you today or tomorrow or whenever. But integrity is something that is either 0 or 1. You are mostly, you have integrity, sometimes I don't have, that will not work. So
Doesn't.
right, and it is very personal. I'll tell you a quick story, right? A passerby sees a sculptor, a wooden sculptor on the roadside. He's making the idol of a goddess, and a very beautiful one. So he asked, how does and then he saw there's another one on the side, exactly same replica kept. So he asked that person, how many of these are you going to make? He said, I just need to make one. But you already made two. He said, there is a crack on the nose with the other. So he went there, inspected, there is a crack here, and he said, I can't repair it, so that's why I'm making another one. Then he asked, where will it go? In the village temple, at the flag post, it will go 20 meters high. This goddess will be on top of that. But then the passerby asked, who will know that there is a crack on the nose? The sculptor said, I will know. Right? So I will know. That is the point. What you do when others are not looking, what you do for your own inner satisfaction, that defines integrity. And again, these are, I think, two dimensions that I can immediately think of when you say the broader theme of spirituality and how you bring into leadership. Integrity and empathy are two things that a leader needs to have. And third is courage, which is
Hmm.
uh, which is very important for a leader to take courageous decisions. If you really believe in yourself, if you have a strong fundamental footing on yourself, you won't be afraid of anything. You will
Hmm.
show that to speak up, to take bold decisions. So
Hmm.
I think these are the three dimensions, I would say, overall, that have been my guiding lights also in my leadership journey, I would say, Karuna.
Lovely, lovely. So, Manoj, have you been a people's person always?
Sorry, your voice was muffled. Sorry.
Have you been a people's person always?
That people have to say. But I mean, I have always enjoyed interacting with people. In fact, if I look at what gives me job satisfaction throughout, it is the people, the part of where I have to deal with people. I have to interact with people, guide them, mentor them, solve their conflicts, interpersonal conflicts. And all of that has always kind of given me a lot of kick, right? So how successful, how well I've done, I cannot comment, but it has always been my passion.
Yeah,
Human mind intrigues me.
yeah.
Right. So there is so much more that we need to learn about human. I mean, sometimes I feel I should have gone to psychology rather than engineering. I don't know, but it just intrigues me a lot, right? And yeah, so that's what I would say.
Wow, interesting. I think the engineering has brought in the logical side of things, and the people orientation, of course, brings in a huge, amazing blend together. So I would say the people orientation, of course, has come in because um, I heard a quote by Tony Robbins very recently. He talked about, which I think I really related to. Quality of our life depends on the quality of our relationships. And if I reflected on it, I realized that those relationships, whether it is with my own self or with others, uh, really make a difference in the fulfillment that I feel when I'm, whether I'm, because I can't, as a human being, we are a social animal, if I have to say that. And the relationships that we build will depend, and the quality that will create. Of course, at the end of the day, all human beings want love. All of us want to feel fulfilled, and the satisfaction that we derive is by helping others, contributing to people and other people. So I think uh, ones who've understood it know this, that it will make a huge amount of difference when we focus on building quality of the relationships that we have. And I know this for a fact that, if I look at the fact that even though we met intermittently, for many years, we've not stayed in touch. And then we met at some points. The relationship that we could strike together, the conversation we could have was of, amazing quality. So I'm sure the other people also feel that about when they connect with you, in terms of your previous ex-colleagues, when they connect with you, they still feel the connection in the relationship. So coming back to some more questions I can think of is, we all want to be mindful in our teams. We all want to lead teams effectively and want to make sure that the teams are engaged and they're putting their maximum potential to serve the purpose of the organization. But as a leader, whether it is empathy, integrity, or courage, I'm sure there would have been situations where you felt I failed, or there are situations which I would say would be where, for example, in a startup where you chose to step out of the startup because after a few years it did not go that way, the way you possibly wanted it to go. So,
Right.
having said that, the shifts that you brought in, the change that you had to adopt to, what were some things that kept you going in those times of difficult times, if I have to say that?
Yeah. No, absolutely right. So if anyone says they haven't had failures, they are lying, right? So everybody, all of us have had failures, right? At some point in time. I mean, I was reading somewhere a story of Abraham Lincoln. I think Abraham Lincoln and failures, if you type on Google, I think you'll get a list of some 30 things, personal failures, personal losses and failures in his life,
Uh-huh.
and tragic things, and professionally also. Before he became the president of the United States, he lost so many things in elections, in something or the other, right? So if you sum total of all of that, if you see, you might think that, oh, this person has been a big failure, but he's considered as one of the big successes, right, in democracy and in politics and human history. But the whole point is what you learn from your failures. And Abraham Lincoln would have taken 10 steps forward when he failed once, and then why do people also fail? People fail also because they step out of their comfort zone, try to do some things, take that risk, which will have a chance of failure. But as long as you learn something from that failure, you could always advance, and your journey graph will always keep on going up. So the key thing is have the resilience inside, right? Sometimes what we don't have is one failure kind of eats you up, and you are very afraid of going there again. Oh, I have failed. Now, I don't want to try that again. Most of us have this. I have also gone through those moments in my life. We all go through that. But how you overcome that, how you build that resilience within yourself, it's all right. There is that, I'm forgetting that song, how, this movie, Zootopia, it's an animation movie. And there is a wonderful title song in that.
Okay.
It basically says, I'll fall, but I'll get up and do things again. It's an
Okay.
extremely one from Shakira, right? So I think it's a really you would love watching that. Just at least follow the lyrics. It's really amazing lyrics, right? So my daughter and I used to love that when that movie was released, and and I found the inspirational value of that a lot. But I want to try it, but sorry, I'm not able to recollect the exact lyrics, but this is the crux of it, right? Have that resilience, right? If in the story there is a rabbit, which was like everyone teases that you are just a rabbit, then and it joins the police force and tries to solve mysteries, cases, and really becomes a big hero, right? So that's kind of story how it proceeds in the animal world. If a rabbit can do that, everyone can do that. So and sometimes you fail also. These movies teach us a lot, right? So even if it's a cartoon film from Disney or Pixar, it will teach you a lot.
Yeah.
So build that resilience. That's the only thing I would say. It's okay to fail, but get over it, learn from it, reflect. Again, connect back with what we discussed earlier, that mindfulness and reflecting on what every day, like you reflect what has happened today. Reflect on that journey. So I reflected on the journey of my startup and what are the lessons that I've learned, right?
Lovely.
And it makes me stronger. And sometimes things don't look right when you are in the middle of it. I can tell you that because I did those startups and I got that exposure to product development, AI, machine learning, how the whole ecosystem works, complemented that with the Evalueserve experience of leading people and research and analytics is why now I am benefiting from that when I'm in the role in a customer data science firm in a leadership
Super.
role. I never expected that when I was doing my own startup, right? Later, it might come back and help me, the combination of Evalueserve and the startup. But now I'm seeing that. So your life, live in the moment. Again, it's all same thing. Live in the moment. Don't worry too much. Keep on doing 100% of what you need to do. You stay focused on that. Later, you will start seeing things that look bad today will actually look the right thing tomorrow. So have that
Yeah.
faith. Yeah.
So ultimately, everything just works out, if I have to say
Yeah.
that. There's a lovely movie that I recently watched called Inside Out, which also had it's a cartoon movie which is completely based on emotional intelligence, and there are different emotions in terms of, as a friend that the animal has, and they kind of showcase that how different emotions create different kinds of actions by that person. So I really love that movie also, and the one that you're talking about, I'll also search for that because I love such movies, and I think there is a lot of inspiration we can get from them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, super. So tell us
I'll,
a bit
I'll,
about.
I'll, I'll try and ask you what is the movie you're talking about later.
Yes, why not? Okay. The
Or if you
movie's
can
name,
share with everyone, that will be useful.
yeah, the movie's name is Inside Out. Inside Out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
That's
Sounds
the
good.
name of the movie. So it was beautiful. I really liked it. And okay, so coming back to the questions that we have, couple of things that I'm thinking of, Manoj, you're talking about leading mindfully, at multiple places where empathy or being in a space where you're listening to the other person gives a lot of value to the relationships, because you're present in the moment in that relationship, present in the moment to be there for that person. And I think that time that you're giving to that person makes a lot of difference. As took that example, which was so powerful, that even though you did not do a lot of work, it was just that you were present in the moment. You did not do any convincing. You were just listening, and the person felt that they were able to find answers for themselves. So having said that, there are times when we are leading teams at multiple global levels. How do you see that this kind of a style of leadership helps you to lead teams in diverse geographies? Do you find a difference in that?
No, I don't think there's a difference. You need to fine tune it, right? Because there are cultural, ultimately, every human being is same from any part of the world.
Hmm.
The differences are only to a certain level. The fundamental driving forces of any human being, we all feel hungry, whether you are a Japanese or an American. After
Hmm.
long, we all feel sleepy.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter which part of the world you are, right? So the basic human feelings, emotions, everything is essentially the same, right? It's
Yeah.
only the superficial structural things that are different. That's what I have realized. But it's very important to understand those superficial structural things, because only if you can attune with that, you can get to the core, which again, core remains the same. but
Hmm.
but to understand, for example, there are cultures where people are shy of opening up. So
Hmm.
and if you talk, try to aggressively get them opened up, it will not work. There's a way
Yes.
to, right? So that understanding the cultural sensitivity is extremely important. But
Hmm.
once you have that level of understanding of how to deal with different cultures, then
Hmm.
once you that individual, then what I've seen is there's a universal human theme. There's a universal human feeling. People cry with the same emotion. People get frustrated with the same emotion, irrespective of which part of the world you are coming from. Right? It doesn't matter. So
Hmm.
ultimately, it's not very different. I would say it's just that we need to be culturally sensitive, and companies need to definitely do lot of these multicultural trainings and all that to get through to that core outer veil, and see the person through beyond that.
Hmm. Interesting. Absolutely interesting. I think it has been such an interesting conversation. So, Manoj, you recommended a book to all of us. You also talked about that how important mindfulness has been, as a part in your life, and it has also created the leadership style that you live through. Um, is there a coach that you follow? Do you see that there is a value in having a person whom you can go back to, fall upon, to seek guidance?
I think that is important, very important to have a coach. But sometimes looking for a coach may not always work. Coaches will just come to you. It's a law of natural attraction and magnetism. What you are seeking is seeking you. It
Mm,
happens. So, I mean, for me, if I look at, there have been many mentors. Early on, my parents have been my biggest mentors,
mm,
and learned. And it's not like they sat down and just wrote on a board and taught me 10 things. This is what you should do. By
mm,
exemplifying looking at their life, exemplifying, some of the qualities, right? I learned a lot. And I had a teacher in school. His name. He passed away some years back. Mr. K.M. Surendran. So he was a big mentor for me, great mentor for me, right? So I learned so much from him. He was very humble. He was a genius, and
mm,
in fact, with his mentoring, I was in ninth standard. I won a national level science seminar, coming
mm.
from my all the way, right? But it was completely his effort,
Mm.
and he mentored me, coached me, and just helped me get there. And
Yeah.
so many people have learned from him. And he was so humble throughout his life, right? And I've had many wonderful teachers. Some of the managers I've worked with in the past, I've learned so much from him. So I wouldn't, and above all, my biggest mentor is Yogananda ji, right? Because I never met him. We never lived in the same era, but his teachings have had such profound impact on a lot of things I do, right? So it doesn't even a book, a video, an audio, a lecture, anything could be your mentor, right? So it's a question of how you are connecting with that person. The person doesn't have to be sitting next to you, and mentors can evolve over time. There could be many mentors.
Hmm. Interesting. So, Manoj, this style of leadership that you're talking about, or even mindfulness for that point of view, how do you see in organizations it has value? Do you see it helps in retention? Do you see it helps in productivity in the organization?
Absolutely. I mean, it has great value, because unless you have happy people, unless you have people who feel they are respected, unless you
Mm,
have people who feel they are heard, uh, you will not be able to really have great performance from that company,
mm,
right?
mm,
So when you have leadership that's empathetic, when you have leadership that acts with integrity, when you have
mm.
leadership that brings all these qualities, right, and more, respect at the workplace, right, all of these qualities, what you get is a very motivated workforce. And
Mm.
know that the difference of productivity from a motivated workforce versus a not so motivated workforce can be huge, right? I
Yes.
can't really study offhand, but I'm sure there are many studies also done on that, right? So,
Mm.
so clearly there is the business impact. So this is ultimately, do you want your people to stay with you? Do you want your people to continue working with you? For that, you need to be a person who leads by example. Now, we always hear examples of people who have not been nice, but if you use the word the jerks, and they rose up the ranks, right? There are many stories, but end of the day, look at the longitudinally look at the career graph of some of those leaders. You'll really see very few exceptions of such people who
Mm.
have not been good people managers, not empathetic, but still reached the top. You look
Yeah.
at a great
Same.
leader who reached the top over a 20-30 year period, they are all
Yeah.
one to practice this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think some people might reach there, but they will not sustain that.
Yeah. there's a book by Marshall Goldsmith, right? So which is what you got here won't get you there, right?
Yeah.
So you may think, and one of the dimensions is exactly this, which is you may have just achieved your immediate success with certain things that you did, which are probably not in the best interest of your long-term leadership career. So you have to reevaluate and see what really makes sense. And I can, without doubt, say being an empathetic leader will absolutely help, because
Mm.
then people will, it's like you have my back, that kind of feeling, right? You have to give it to your team, because there will be moments of success, moments of trouble, all kinds of time. But if you give that feeling, that transparency, you are with the people in their good and bad times, and they can trust you, create that trust-based relationship.
Yeah.
You are an organization which can perform really well.
And I think it's all about trust at the end of the day. If I trust my leader, I will do amazing things.
Yeah,
Knowing
exactly.
that, as you rightly said, knowing that the leader, has my back. So
Exactly.
from that point, trust plays a very important role in any relationship, work, personally, and whatever relationship we're talking about. It just works very well.
Yeah.
So I guess before we end the session, there are two things I would like to ask you. One, um, would there be any tips that you would like to leave for our audience in terms of practice or any high level pointers specifically for people who, these are times which are testing times for us, post the pandemic times? A lot of us are going through career shifts, or a lot of us are even having challenges in our careers, or even in within our organizations as well. So, would there be something specific that you would like to leave them with?
Few things I would say. One is this is a time when you need to engage with your people a lot more than you did in the past. So there is this feeling, many of some companies have started getting back to office regularly, but vast majority of people are still working remotely after the pandemic. So we did a survey about 6 months back. What we found was people's connection with the broader organization did not go down, and their connection with the immediate team also did not go down, but the connection across different teams has gone down, right? And
Mm.
that's if it continued for a long time for any organization. So leaders need to bridge that gap. In fact, they need to. It's not time to just have just the leadership meetings or sit in boardrooms. They need to come out and talk to people a lot more frequently, regularly, and really connect with them. And empathy and all these tools become useful when how you execute it, but they need to actually talk to them. We did a campaign in dunnhumby called 100 Voices, where some of us, the leaders, took a group of 100 people across. So I did not speak only to my team in India, but also people in South Africa, in dunnhumby South Africa, New Zealand, UK, US, Canada. So picked 100 people and across levels, across departments, and just spoke to him, checked in, right? How is family? How are you coping with the current times? And a few of us did that, and we covered several hundred people like this, and it was just amazing impact it created, right? So and then we did a follow-up check-in also with many of them. It just helped a lot. So you have to just get out of your shell and connect with people a lot more. The other thing is, be true to yourself. As leaders, like I said, people have antenna, so making fake leadership statements will not help. You have to be true to yourself. And the last part I would say is, this is a time when you need to be more innovative than ever. When there are downtimes. In fact, 15 of 50 S&P 500 company, 15 of 50, the top 50 companies in Nasdaq, right, were founded during times of depression or
Yeah.
during times of recession, right? So companies are getting founded. Some of the big names today have come during the Great Depression and other recession times. So even if that doesn't happen, you can reinvent yourself in terms of your business model, a lot of things. So see this time as an opportunity and reinvent yourself internally and also your business model. That's the other thing I would leave as a and that's what we are also trying to do. just really trying to reinvent ourselves, how we can push our boundaries more during this period.
Wow, I just absolutely loved it. And I think under your leadership, Manoj, lot of amazing things are happening at dunnhumby. And we look forward to hearing lots more news about the success of the organization. So, would you like to
Thank you.
share a bit of feedback about conversations with Karuna? We basically create these conversations for people to watch it, those who would love to build their careers, listen to more leaders, and build conscious careers and conscious cultures within their organization. So, any
Yeah.
feedback you would like to leave with for us?
So first of all, I mean, this is amazing, right? I think you asked a lot of questions, which I really enjoyed the last, whatever, 48, 50 minutes of this chat. So thank you for that. And I have been following your conversations in the past couple of months, right? And looking at some of them when those in LinkedIn, the feeds come, right? So I have been following that amazing conversations that you have had with the myriad of leaders. So I think the word you use, conscious culture, I think that's a fantastic one, because culture just is there. It's kind of the heartbeat of the company. But can you really create a conscious culture, right? So I think that's where leaders have to step in and influence. In fact, what we are doing is also a reimagining of our future workplace, and culture is an important work stream we have defined. So
Yeah.
can you create artificial water cooler moments even
Yeah.
while remotely, right? For example, that can leaders and our executive teams and the leaders, can they really be present in these artificial water coolers online chat rooms, and so that it doesn't look like a time sink, and rather people really see it as part of the culture. Oh, okay, exec team is sitting there, our CEO is sitting there, so this must be, or our CTO is sitting there, right? So this must be I mean, I want to be there. So creating that, right, the steps took for that, it's very important. So how leaders create, I think really sharing those ideas around conscious cultures, it's a great initiative, and thank you for that. I think a lot of people are benefiting from that. I can see from the comments I've seen in the past recordings also, right? So it's great.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Manoj, for this lovely input. And thank you so much for coming in. This has been indeed a very amazing conversation. And I can see that from the comments pouring in into our conversations with Karuna as well. So thank you, everyone, for listening to it. And thank you, Manoj, for coming over. And we're going to be back next Thursday with another amazing personality whom you can learn a lot from. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Yeah, thank you, Karuna, and thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks a lot.